I think we should be real with the people.
Yes.
You recorded an episode before I joined you.
This is true.
Right?
It was like a year ago.
Like a year ago here at Canter's Deli. You didn't even film it.
No, it was just audio.
It was just audio, but I listened to this episode and I was like, we have to include it in this season because it was so good, right?
Thank you. Yeah, and you insisted to join me in this, which is much more fun anyways. But this is one of those, I would say, pre-Lily episodes.
It's a pre-Lily episode. Was that a dark time for you?
It was definitely darker in the Kibitz room,
Yeah,
which is where we filmed this one. Not in this beautiful, shiny, colorful booth out here. So it was a whole different vibe, but nonetheless, BJ was an awesome guest and it was a fun episode. So give it a listen. BJ Novak, everyone. Today, I'm joined by a super talented and funny guy who happens to also love food as much as I do. He's an actor, writer, producer, director, and you might know him from Inglourious Basterds, which is honestly one of my favorite movies, Saving Mr. Banks, his newest film, Vengeance, and of course, The Office. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome BJ Novak.
I love food debates and LA food debates. This is my dream podcast to do. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
This is also my dream podcast.
But that makes sense. Yeah.
You're my first guest. I've never done anything like this
I'm
before.
so honored. I'm so honored to be your first guest. There's nothing I'd rather do than sit with you at Canter's Deli talking about all things Los Angeles food, your style, your history, what's on your mind. This is me in my natural habitat. So thanks for inviting me.
Welcome to the Kibitz room. I heard you come here quite a bit, actually.
The Kibitz room is or has been my secret, low-key spot. Everyone's always happy to be brought here, I guess, if it's a discovery for them or to suggest it. It's like it's got sort of the diviness of a dive bar, but it's kind of a little polished and a little unknown, and it's kind of name brand because it's Canter's, but a lot of people don't know about the Kibitz room, and it's like you're walking back in time, and the drinks are poured pretty stiff. I hope no one gets in trouble for me saying that. I'm looking at the bartender right now, but it's always been very generous here. When I was a stand-up starting out, I tried to get an open mic night here for stand-up. No one answered the call, but you were probably too young.
That's hilarious. What year was that?
That was probably 2003. This is the perfect room for stand-up. So it's Monday night?
Monday night, they still do stand-up comedy. Yeah.
Great.
Come down, do a little bit.
I might do that because I've been working on some stuff.
We'll pay you in pastrami, I promise.
I mean, that's better than all the other open mics. It's a great rate. This was also the spot where comics would go after. What am I on, Mark Maron now? Talking about the old days of stand-up. But no, but like in my sort of brief heyday in LA stand-up, this is where you'd go after because Largo was across the street. And that was the big show, Monday night at Largo.
Yes.
It was huge. And then you'd pour over here.
Canter's is 24/7. It's been here since the 30s. My great-grandfather actually opened it before there were any other restaurants in LA that were 24/7. We were one of the first. And so kind of classically, this has always been a place that people dump over late night.
Yeah.
After Dodger games, after sporting events, after concerts, after anything. It's like this place peaks at 2 a.m.
Yeah. This was the place when I moved here. This was when I felt like, oh, okay, I understand LA. I want to get under its skin. I have a spot I know about. And when people would come visit, I drive them straight from the airport to Canter's, especially if it was like 10, 11 p.m., and we'd sit under the fake sort of Central Park in autumn skylight design, right? And it was just so classic, like East Coast on the West Coast.
You grew up on the East Coast.
I grew up outside Boston, yeah.
When did you come here?
I came here 2001. I came here to be a writer in television and eventually an actor in television too. But my first job, I was hired to write for the late Bob Saget's show, Raising Dad. Bob became a very good friend in the years after. And his show was at Paramount. And that was my first gig. So I moved out to do it.
Love it. We're here to talk about food. Food is my absolute passion. I grew up a foodie. I love eating out. And I think you actually told GQ magazine once that LA was the best food city in the US.
Absolutely.
Which is a little bit of a hot take, especially for people from the East Coast. Obviously,
a lot
New
of
York.
people get it, but some people don't abide, but
I
they're wrong.
100% agree with you. LA is where it's at right now.
Yeah.
And I guess what makes LA special? Why is LA a food city?
It's dynamic. And there are a lot of different cultures that have a second generation that is sort of iterating on their traditional cuisine. So you have all these, especially now, you have all these immigrant parents that came in and started a Thai restaurant, a Salvadoran restaurant. And then you have the next generation who grew up here who are doing an interesting twist on it or their own fresh spin on things. So you have all of these influences from a generation or two ago or 5 ago that is now going through all this creativity. And I think the real estate is, while expensive, it's not as expensive as, say, Manhattan, because there are all these undiscovered areas. Like, yeah, you can open a place sort of at the edge of Echo Park and people will drive to it. So you end up with a lot of really, really cool experiments and a lot of flavor, which I really like.
I love the willingness to drive idea. Like, I have friends that on the weekends will drive to San Gabriel Valley, which is, an hour away from here, but like totally worth it. Obviously, like so much amazing food in that area. And I think the idea that people are willing to like travel to a place just to eat at is unique.
When I moved here, my friend Danny Chun told me about the Jonathan Gold book, Counterintelligence. And it was sort of Jonathan Gold's tour of the San Gabriel Valley and all the sort of far-flung places that weren't like the fancy foodie places. And I would like one by one try to knock those out and kind of learn the city through Jonathan Gold. And then I also found Los Angeles Magazine in that era, maybe still, but that's how I found out about Guelaguetza. They had like restaurant reviews that weren't just like the chic date spot. They were like actually interesting, authentic views of the city.
Absolutely.
And so I really came to know, I didn't just want to know Hollywood when I came here. I really wanted to know Los Angeles. And that was a way for me to understand the city, not just the industry.
And, here come our matzo ball soups.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
I had matzo ball soup last night, not to get your competitive fires stoked, but at Yangban Society downtown.
Love that spot.
They make a very good, like, small matzo ball soup, because a lot of places try to outdo themselves with bigger.
This do the is probably the biggest ball in town. No,
hey,
that's what my grandpa used
That's
to
what
say.
you said. Look, I think it is the biggest ball in town. But yes, you often get people that don't do it as they're especially trying to outdo the size. But Yangban, I thought, had a very humble take. Like, here's a little appetizer version. It was really good.
That is certainly one of the hottest restaurant openings of last year. Really cool spot where you can just hang out and have everything from caviar to some of the best fried chicken I've ever had.
Those chicken wings that's the star item.
Well, first of all, let me introduce what we're about to eat. The classic matzo ball soup. Sorry you had it last night. We're having it again today.
No, I love the Canters is the OG.
This is the number one selling dish by far. Absolutely.
And you can get it with kasha.
You can get it with
kerplats, right? With noodles, carrots, or shredded chicken.
These are all the upsells and the options.
And you can do the bagel chips,
which is all of it at once.
I've never done that.
Okay,
I should have ordered that here because it's on you. Yeah. Damn it.
So Canter's is actually one of the top delivery restaurants in all of LA. We do hundreds of orders a day on apps like Postmates and DoorDash. The matzo ball soup is the top seller by far, almost 3x the next top item.
What's the next top item?
Pastrami.
I think your pastrami is the best in the city. And I never see it on the list because Langer's gets all the attention. Langer's is too thick cut. Yours is thinner, sweeter, and greasier. It's better pastrami.
I sincerely appreciate that. I'm a huge Langer's fan too.
I get it with their rye bread, although your rye bread is really good too. I think people sleep on the Canter's pastrami.
I appreciate you saying that.
Look, perfect size. This looks so good.
As you're talking about pastrami, it's showing up like a genie. It's cool. And some latkes for us as well. But I don't view any of the delis in LA as competition at this point. There's so few of us left. Like in the 50s, there were 3,000 Jewish delis in the US. Now there's 150. It's a very, very tough business. We try to help each other out. If somebody has a bad experience eating at a different Jewish deli, it's not good for anyone in the deli industry.
Okay.
So we're all in this together.
Look, I'm trying to create some drama for your first podcast episode. So
I love it. Just in recent memory, what are some of the wow experiences that you've had in the LA restaurant scene, what are some places that are blowing your mind right now?
So much. Yangban Society was great. I went this week to Bavel, first time in a while, having loved Saffy's.
I absolutely love Bavel, and that whole trifecta of Saffy's, Bavel, Bestia, I think is probably like as good as it gets for Los Angeles.
I thought I liked Saffy's better because it was more just casual and fresh. But then I went back to Bavel and the grandeur and the huge room with the plants and the noise and the big menu, and it's cool. It's cool down there.
What's the go-to order for Bavel?
I like the hummus. I like the hummus with duck. Lamb shoulder is good. I tend not to like heavier things, but I do like that there. I like the drinks. I like appetizers in general. I'm generally happy getting a lot of appetizers and skipping an entree.
I tend to go app heavy as well. That way you get to try more things. I love going to dinner with larger groups. So you can order like one of everything on the menu. It's always better that way.
I guess I'm doing some obvious candidates here, but Anna Jack, I think is unbelievable. One
of my favorite restaurants, hands down. Anna Jack Thai.
Anna Jack Thai, and I'm not a wine guy, but those wines are great.
Those wines are fantastic,
Such a cool scene. Jitlada, always my number one for life.
Jitlada is spicy and honestly is the king of LA for Thai in my mind. Have you tried the burger?
Yeah, the jazz burger?
Yeah. Secret menu item, but
for a secret item, they do advertise it pretty heavily.
That's true.
But yes, it is technically the secret item. That's really good. I've graduated to the Kluit Kling curry, which is very spicy. Nice. But it's an addiction once you get into it. So I love Anna Jack. Pizza Palace, I've been to a few times recently. Love that.
Just there 2 nights ago. What's your go-to at Pizza? And tell us a little bit more about that one. It's a unique
well, something to know about me. I have a thing about Italian food being overrated. I think Italian food, upscale Italian food, is generally boring. And I'm sick of everyone.
The hot take also.
Yeah, I'm sick of everyone. Anytime, especially in New York, this is why I don't like New York cuisine. Anytime anyone recommends a new spot, it's like, oh, you got to go to Il Antico Nuovo. It has the best cacio e pepe. I'm sick of this. Every recommendation is the same combination of 3 Italian words and like 3 pasta dishes, and it's all fine, but it's just rich and bland and expensive, and it's not my thing. John Vinny's to me is good because that is a flavorful, stylish take on food that has become an LA classic. But I'm sick of these elite tasting.
Carbone? You don't like Carbone?
I do like Carbone because Carbone also is having fun with an American version of Italian food. I don't want to feel like I'm on the Napoli coast, on a yacht with a fancy little fork.
Let me just clarify though, like, do you like Italian food in Italy?
I bet I would. I haven't been.
You haven't been.
I bet I would.
We should go to Italy and eat some.
I think that's a great spin-off episode. We could Stanley Tucci this thing. My point is that what I don't like about Pizza Palace is what everyone else likes, which is that they have this pasta with a sort of a subtle Indian infusion.
The Malai rigatoni.
Yeah, I don't like it because to me it's like, no, please go hardcore on everything that's not Italian.
Wow.
So
that is like my top dish there, but obviously
I feel like we threw a curveball to the listener early. It's like, wait, I don't know if I trust a word this guy says.
I know. I feel like you're all over the map here. I mean, the
like, how do you accept the compliment on your pastrami now that you know? I think pasta.
You don't like traditional Italian food? Yeah. That's an interesting one.
I mean, I read your list of 100 LA restaurants. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it's really close to bullseye for my taste. So we must have more alike than we do.
It's true. We're probably from like the same shtetl.
Exactly. But you were one shack closer to the Italian border and I was closer to Romania. And I'm like, I don't get this Italy thing.
You've sort of moved into, well, first of all, would you like a potato pancake?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. All right. Here you go. Are you an applesauce or sour cream guy?
I'm an applesauce guy and I don't even know what sour cream tastes like.
What?
And I've had it. I'm just like, I guess it just tastes colder and smoother now. I don't get it. I'm not a mayonnaise guy.
I'm not a mayonnaise guy.
Yeah, to me it's like a cousin of mayo. I don't need it. I mean, there's a common thread on all of my weird quirks. It's like anything subtle, I don't like. I like the sharper sort of palate tastes.
That's good.
Thanks.
It's good to get to know your taste palette. You're from the East Coast originally. Is there anything that you miss out there? We know you don't miss traditional Italian food.
Well, here's the thing though. I miss American Italian food. I miss like fusilli and red sauce and garlic bread. That's why I like carbone. Like I like the Americanized Italian food I grew up on, like the East Coast suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 restaurants as far as I was aware until I was like 16 years old. There was Abruzzi, which was the Italian restaurant, and there was Beijing Palace, the Chinese restaurant. I was unaware there were any other types of food. Then in late high school, I learned about Thai food.
Spicy.
I loved it. But I just thought there was Italian food, Chinese food, and American food. And I liked all 3. And I still like, so what I miss are those 2 cuisines, I guess. I miss the sort of red sauce casual Italian and especially the East Coast Chinese, which you don't get much of out here. That's kind of all I miss. But when I'm there, I miss way more from out here. I miss Thai food. I miss Mexican food. I miss the fusion, creative takes that are out here.
You're now part of a really interesting startup in LA.
Right, yeah.
Called Chain.
So when I came out here, there was an opening of Chili's in Westwood and a bunch of comedian friends.
Feels like a very odd place for a Chili's.
I don't know how they fit it in there. Maybe UCLA let them in or something, but generally you can't open a chain restaurant. Maybe it was in Santa Monica actually, but I think it was in Westwood. And because of the zoning laws, I realized, getting a chain restaurant in here, that's like the hottest restaurant opening to my friends is like a Chili's. And I thought, man, I wish someone would open like a fake chain restaurant, like you could call it Chain and have it be a really fancy, upscale restaurant that the zoning board would approve, but they'd be cooking chain food, but there'd only be one. So you'd allow it in. And I thought, that'd be a fun loophole that would let me get stuff like Chili's. And then over the years, that daydream of mine kept expanding. And I kept telling people like, wouldn't it be amazing if there was this place called Chain, until the vision got better and better. And people started saying, you should do that, when I described it. And then eventually it got in the ears of the people who said, we should do that, once I pitched it to Real Food World people.
Yes.
So that's how we ended up starting Chain as kind of this joke idea of how to get chain food into a city that wouldn't allow it. And then once you're there, you might as well make it high end. And then once you're making it high end, you might as well collaborate with the actual chains until it developed its own culture. Now Chain is this pop-up phenomenon.
It's
right now.
It's one of the like hardest pop-ups to get into in all of LA.
Yeah, it's a real scene. We have one tonight actually. Our Taco Bell collab. You can follow @eat@chain on Instagram, and that will give you the number that you text to get the invite to the next drop, etc.
Tell us a little bit about some of your goals for what you're doing with Chain and how you see it evolving. I know you've done like different drops around like the bloomin' onion and picking certain dishes, and obviously it's more pop-up style, but is there plans to expand that? But where is it all going?
Creatively, it's about expanding the frontiers of chain food cuisine, or what I pretentiously call new Americana when I want to give it like a foodie label to get like food world people on our side. But I do believe in all that. So right now it's about, Chef Tim, putting him in the room with, the actual head chefs of places like Red Lobster and Jack in the Box and, what are these iconic brands that in the hands of like a new wave chef who actually respects that food, and loves the cheddar biscuit. So basically the goal right now is to keep expanding the frontiers of this and take the joke as far as we can that this food is deserving to be taken seriously. Like what if we literally put Wagyu beef in a crunch wrap, and it's not just, as a stunt, but it's because that's actually the best food item we can think of. We're just going to keep building that with more collaborations, more merch. I'm looking into space, that we'll hopefully be able to announce soon for a real big flagship restaurant. Food is really the new film or TV in my book, because what you're creating is nostalgia. It's future. It's, if you're Dua Lipa, future nostalgia. That's her album, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had that title for something. It's such a good title. To me, it's really about that experience and feeling. And that's also why for me, Chain is the kind of project that really stirred me emotionally, because being a kid, wanting to go to a chain restaurant and my parents thinking it wasn't classy enough for, not that we were a fancy family or anything, but my dad was Canadian and proper. And why would you go to Chili's? Like we should go to the local whatever, which by the way, I think are generally very good values, right? But I felt left out of the party of the things I'd seen on the commercials, like that classic thing where you want the McDonald's burger, not your mom's version of it.
It's so funny that you say that because like I grew up in West Hollywood where we didn't have chain restaurants. And so I didn't even like, I'd never seen a Sonic before. I had never seen a Red Lobster. Right. And then I moved to Wisconsin for 4 years to go to college.
Yeah. Big chain place.
And you know, everywhere you go, there's like Chili's and everything. And that was all new for me. But like in my early 20s, I was like, wow, I've never tried it. Like eating my first cheddar biscuit, I was like, whoa.
But the flip side of that is it is a minimum wage, massively scaled, you know, cutting corners type of place in many cases. So you're not getting the kind of food that you grew up on, you know, with people who are real food industry professionals. These are people who just took a minimum wage job and they followed a recipe and no one's really doing quality control. So the idea of taking that food that we both chase and we wanted to be part of like the real America, like the other kids in Wisconsin, or for me, the other kids in Boston, like I wanted to be part of things, to actually put quality and care behind that. So it tastes like someone who cooked it with love and cooked it with style and cooked it with passion.
Let's shift gears. Let's talk about Vengeance.
The phenomenon or the movie?
Your masterpiece movie.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Just came out. It was very well done.
Great. Yeah, I'm so lucky that this movie came out the way I wanted it to. You know, most movies that you dream up don't happen at all. And if they do, they're filled with compromises. But this really was sort of a wild dream to make this particular movie, kind of a dark comedy about vengeance, called Vengeance, and yet it's really about people and sort of the cultural divide in America. And so I play this podcaster who gets a call. He's hanging out with John Mayer at Soho House. You know, he thinks he's cool. And he gets a call that his girlfriend is dead. And he's like, wait, my what? You know, he's more confused by, he doesn't say it like that, but he's more confused by girlfriend than dead is the point. And being a somewhat selfish podcaster, aspiring podcaster, he thinks, well, I'll make one of those true crime things about this dead girl, because the family thinks she's murdered and he doesn't think she's murdered. And he goes down to far West Texas and embeds with this family who thinks that he was dating her. Very, very awkward dynamic. But as he stays there, he gets very close to this Texan family that he did not expect to bond with, or vice versa. And so...
No spoilers, by the way.
That's all I got. But it was very important to me to not make it feel like I was on one side, because it was a human story. It was not a political story. I wanted Texans to not kick my ass when they saw the movie and to like it.
I think it was the opposite. I think they were like, we have a movie for our state.
Absolutely.
Now,
and in fact, I think 9 of the top 10 grossing theaters were in Texas throughout the movie.
Amazing.
It performed extremely well in Texas.
There were references to Whataburger. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah. So that was sort of my way to the heart of Texas when I was doing a research trip there. The family that I was hanging out with said, do you want to go to Whataburger? I said, what's Whataburger? And they explained, oh man, you don't know about Whataburger. It's the best. But they couldn't describe why. And so I'd be like, well, what's great about it? What do you get? And they're like, anything you want. I'm like, well, sure. Like what? And they'd be like, you get a burger, you get fries, you get anything. I'm like, well, what are they famous for? It's like, it's all good. And I'm like, well, so what is it? And they're like, wherever you are, it's always right there. There's always a Whataburger. And like, it's like they were talking around the point. And I realized that what they were describing was how I would describe Dunkin' Donuts, being from Boston. Oh, you got to go to Dunkin'. You know, what's great there? Oh, I wouldn't really say the donuts are great. The coffee is pretty good. It's just a thing. It's a feeling. You know, that's where you're from. It's fine. It's good. But the main thing is just, it's theirs. It tastes like home. They grew up on it. So there's a love. And I think that was something my character, who is from New York City and would only think of things in terms of, oh, this chef's hot new place, got a review, you know, whatever. He kind of had to learn, oh, it's not about a reason. It's about a feeling. It's about a shared family, you know, memory and experience. So Whataburger ended up being sort of a very key motif of the movie. They have their biggest fight at a Whataburger, their biggest reconciliation. And Whataburger let us use them. It was a battle just to get them in the movie. And anyone who sees the movie is like, how much did they pay? It's like the whole thing's like an ad for Whataburger in one way, but we had to fight to get in. But I think they had never been in a movie before for more than like one shot.
That's, I mean, it kind of tied the whole Texas theme together really well, I thought.
Yeah.
And it was, first of all, if you haven't seen the movie, stop what you're doing, pause this podcast right now and go watch it.
Okay, now you're back. What did you think? I follow Texas meme accounts now because I followed them to research the movie and now I just like them. But they're always making fun of In-N-Out, because they're In-N-Out Whataburger rivalry. And I'm 100% In-N-Out. I think In-N-Out is...
I'm all in on In-N-Out.
I think In-N-Out is one of the things that lives up to the hype. It is a perfect sized burger. The ingredients are fresh. They pay their workers well, and it shows. I've never had a mistake. I've never had an unpleasant experience.
Unbelievable.
It's great.
The consistency.
Whereas at Whataburger to me is like Burger King to McDonald's. Like their main thing isn't as good necessarily, but so like to me, the Whataburger burger isn't as good as the In-N-Out burger, but everything
you're about
else,
to blow it with all of your Texas fans right now.
They can handle this because they know this is respect.
You just like got them to love you, and now you're just rooting.
No, but that's the thing. What this whole movie is about is we got to be able to speak honestly and respectfully with each other. So
true. So
that's exactly it. So I need to be honest and say, I think that Whataburger is not as good as In-N-Out on the burger level. However, you may have fair points about all sorts of things, in my opinion, and your chicken, milkshakes, fries, sauces are all superior. This is my personal opinion.
What is your order at In-N-Out?
As we've discussed, I don't do sour cream, mayo.
There's no sour cream at In-N-Out.
But what I'm getting to, I'm warming you up.
I know we're getting to the sauce.
I'm warming you up for a take you're not going to like, which is I don't like sauce. I do not get animal style. I don't even get the sauce at all. So I get no sauce, ketchup and mustard instead. Or I think the smarter move, if I remember, is I get mustard grilled and add ketchup. So they grill the patty in mustard, no sauce. It makes it so much cleaner and crisper as a taste.
And
so
are we a chopped onions, raw onion, grilled onion?
I get the raw onion. Great question. And then the fries are fine. I actually think the fries are kind of like...
You order them well done, of course, a little bit.
If I remember, I never remember, but I know that's the way to do it. Shake, I'm not interested. Better. The coffee, I think, is okay, but that's kind of it, right?
The problem with the coffee for me is like eating a burger with coffee. It's just a weird combination.
Oh, I like it. I've done that. I've done that hangover thing for sure. And I used to live, when I moved to LA, I lived on Fountain and Alta Vista, right across from the Rock and Roll Ralph's. And I was right next to the In-N-Out. I could walk to In-N-Out. And it was $1.56 for an In-N-Out burger. So I would do that 2 meals a day. I would walk over there for a burger and coffee in the morning, like noon for me, for lunch, brunch, whatever. And then again at like 6 o'clock. And eventually my heart was like I didn't know what was going on. I had to go to the hospital and get like those things put on me. I don't know what you call it, And I was so relieved when he said I was fine. And he said, "What's your diet?" And I said, "I eat, In-N-Out burgers twice a day." And he thought I meant twice a week. He said, "Twice a day?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You eat In-N-Out burgers twice a day?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Why don't you stop doing that and let me know if this problem goes away?" And it did.
Start there.
And
yeah,
it did,
that's good. What other hangover food is your go-to?
I like spicy and greasy traditionally. So what was great? I think Loteria, did they close at the farmer's market or just the other location? But the mole chilaquiles.
I love their mole there.
The mole is great, but chilaquiles, I mean, that is a great...
I need to try that.
Yeah, that's a great hangover food. Unfortunately, I'm not that hungover these days.
That's good.
I grew up a bit.
Good.
Thank you.
So let's shift to bagels. What's going on with bagels
is great.
in LA?
I think Courage Bagels is a revelation. I think the idea of putting salmon roe instead of salmon is brilliant.
Game changer.
Because the texture of salmon is a terrible match for a bagel. It's the flavor that's so good. But that kind of gummy and then it's falling off and, you have too big a piece or too small and it's in your teeth. Like it's actually a bad match for a bagel. Whereas salmon roe, it's like sprinkling salty salmon goodness on the bagel. It's brilliant.
Do you go full burnt everything?
Burnt everything,
Yeah, of
always.
course.
I've gotten the others, but there's just no beating
That's
the burnt
the best
everything.
one.
The rip and dip with the butter.
The butter. It's
That's
so
my
good.
number one.
What's your cream cheese preference?
I like a plain cream cheese. I like it scooped. I know that's very like basic bitch, quote unquote. I don't like sort of doughy, fluffy textures.
Mm-hmm.
So once I saw people scooping out the middle, I was like, that's inspired. Now it's crispy
It's
and
the
you can put the
evolved-
cream cheese
the
inside
evolved
there.
bagel.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about eating out, but what do you do at home? Do you cook?
These days I make one thing at home. I feel that when you have an air fryer, it's like an easy bake oven. Like it's like using a toaster oven. It's barely. But what I make, if you came over and I served this to you, you'd be like, damn, you really cooked for me. But what I do is I take salmon and I put Fly by Jing, has this spicy mala sauce, spice. I just coat the raw salmon with the spice and I put it in the air fryer for 13 minutes. And then it comes out and it's like crackling with this, with this tingly spice. And sometimes I'll just put like a little olive oil and salt and pepper on some broccoli florets and put that into. And then it's like popcorn broccoli and spiced salmon.
Right in the air fryer.
And it's like sizzling. Yeah, you'd think you're a gourmet chef, but that's really all I do.
That's your signature move.
That's my signature. And then before that, I would put soy vey teriyaki sauce on salmon and grill that in a pan and make like salmon teriyaki. It came out great too. But these are like, to me, this is assembly more than cooking.
You know, a lot of people assume that like growing up in Canter that I like know how to cook or that I'm a good cook. I'm lazy when it comes to cooking.
I would assume that because I'd assume you grow up. Why would you ever need to cook?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You hear that, all my friends? Don't give me shit anymore.
Yeah.
Well, BJ, this has been an absolute pleasure.
I've loved talking to you today. And I will let you in on a secret though. If anyone said to me, hey, do you want to just hang out at Canter's for a couple hours? I got us a corner booth and it's on me. I'd say yes anyway. But that it was with you talking about this just takes it to a new level. So thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. And go watch Vengeance and check out Chain.
Yeah.
What was the handle again?
Eat at Chain on
Eat at
Instagram.
Chain.
Yeah.
Go follow it. It's really fun. They have a good time.
And then text that number and you can come to a drop. Yeah.
Okay. See you at that
you can
drop.
come. You're already on the list.
That's right.
That was such a great episode. I could listen to you two talk all day.
Oh, thanks, Lily. I do prefer including you moving forward.
Oh,
So.
thanks, Alex.
But
All right,
it's
next
still-
time I'll
it
be
was-
there. Don't worry.
That was still fun though, and you know, it was a little bit of a darker time in there, but I'm glad to be out here in the light. So.
There you go. I love it. All right, well, I'll see you at the next Chain event, right?
Sounds good. See you at Chain.
See you there.